You're not broke because you're lazy. You're not broke because you're unlucky. You're not broke because the economy is rigged, or because nobody gave you a better starting point, or because you didn't go to the right school. You're broke because of something much smaller and much more powerful. A set of beliefs. Beliefs you are carrying right now. Today, beliefs you have never actually examined. And until you examine them, nothing changes. Not the job, not the side hustle, not the budget spreadsheet, not the next motivational video you watch after this one. Nothing. I know that's uncomfortable to hear in the first 10 seconds, but I'd rather tell you the truth now than spend 20 minutes making you feel good about a problem that isn't getting solved. So if you're ready to actually hear this, stay with me, because what I'm about to explain will land very differently than anything you've heard about money before. If you're new here, this channel is about the real psychology behind money and success. Why smart people stay stuck, and why some people escape it. If that's what you're looking for, subscribe and hit the bell. Now let's talk about something almost nobody in personal finance says out loud. The entire personal finance industry is built on a comfortable lie. Not a malicious lie. A comfortable one. And the lie is this: your financial situation is primarily a math problem. Track your spending. Budget better. Cut expenses. Invest correctly. And the money will follow. Now, I'm not saying those things don't matter. They do. But here's what that entire system misses. Math is the last layer of the problem. Math is where you end up after you've solved the thing underneath. And the thing underneath is not a spreadsheet issue. It's a belief issue, a story issue, a psychology issue. And until you go to that deeper layer, all the budgeting advice in the world is just rearranging furniture inside a house built on a cracked foundation. Let me show you how I know this is true. Think about someone you know who read the books, took the course, made the budget, understood exactly what they were supposed to do. And 2 years later, they're in the exact same place. Maybe you know someone like that. Maybe it's you. Maybe you've made the plan more than once, and somewhere along the way it fell apart. Not because you didn't understand it. You understood it perfectly. It fell apart because the behavior never actually changed. The spending came back. The saving didn't stick. The plan quietly disappeared the first time life got difficult. Most people think the problem is discipline, but that's the wrong conclusion. The real problem is this: the plan was built on top of beliefs that were always going to destroy it, and nobody told you to look there first. So let's go there. Let's talk about the beliefs that quietly keep people financially stuck, even when they try again, and again, and again. And I want you to hear these, not as descriptions of other people, but as a mirror. Because the moment you feel defensive, the moment you think, no, that's not me, that's usually the clearest signal that it is exactly you. The first belief is scarcity. The belief that money is fundamentally limited. That there's never enough. Not enough opportunities. Not enough room for you to get ahead. People who believe this make decisions that constantly confirm it. They avoid investments. They undercharge for their work. They focused only on cutting expenses while ignoring the income side completely. Because growing income requires believing that more is possible, and the scarcity belief says it isn't. So every decision reinforces the same reality. Not enough. And here's where that belief usually comes from. Most money beliefs were formed before you were 12 years old, from watching the adults around you. If money was always stressful, always tight, always the source of arguments, your brain filed it away. Money equals stress. Money equals scarcity. Money equals danger. And that program is still running today. In the background of every financial decision you make, you didn't choose it. But you're the only one who can update it. The second belief is even more destructive. It's the belief that I'm bad with money. It sounds honest, but it's actually dangerous, because it turns a behavior into an identity, and identities don't change easily. If you believe you're bad with money, your brain will constantly prove it right. You overspend, you say. See? That's just me. You break the budget. You say, I knew I couldn't stick to it. Every mistake becomes confirmation. But here's the truth. You're not bad with money. You've just been practicing. Bad money habits. And habits are skills. Skills can change. The moment you shift the story from this is who I am to this is what I've been doing, everything changes. Let me say something uncomfortable. If you've been trying to fix your finances for 3, 4, 5 years, and the plan never holds, the problem is probably not the system. It's the story. You are not failing the plan. You are succeeding at protecting the story. And those are two completely different problems. The third belief is the idea that being responsible means staying safe. Never take risks. Never leave stability. Never bet on yourself. But here's the truth. Staying still is not actually safe. Inflation moves. Expenses move, the world moves. Standing still in a moving world is slow decline. Real financial stability comes from calculated risk, not reckless risk, but intelligent risk. The risk to grow your income, your skills, your opportunities. Avoiding those risks is often the most expensive decision people make. And then there's another behavior almost nobody talks about. Financial avoidance. Not opening the bank app, not looking at the credit card statement, keeping the numbers vague. Because vague feels less painful than specific. But avoidance has a cost. You cannot fix what you refuse to measure. You cannot stop a leak you haven't located. And that constant low-level anxiety about money, that comes from not knowing the truth. The truth is uncomfortable. But the fog is worse. The fourth belief is the big move fantasy. The belief that one moment will fix everything. One business idea, one investment, one promotion, one lucky break. But real wealth almost never comes from one big move. It comes from hundreds of small, boring, consistent moves repeated for years. Compounding only works when the system runs without interruption. Waiting for the big break kills the entire equation. Let me give you one image to remember. Two people stand at the edge of a forest. One has perfect gear, maps, compass, everything. But the forest looks uncertain. So he waits. The other person has almost nothing, but he walks in. 1 year later, one person is still waiting. Perfect equipment, zero progress. The other person is already through the forest. The gear was never the variable. The decision to move was, and that decision is available to you right now. So here's the real reason people stay broke. It's not the economy, not the timing, not the starting point. The real variable is the story your brain is running about money. That story was written years ago, but you're still living it today. And the moment you see it clearly, you can finally choose something different. You didn't choose the money story you grew up with, but keeping it running is a choice. And right now you are more aware of that choice than you have ever been. Which means this is the moment, not next week. Right now. In the comments, I want you to write one sentence. Just when. What was the money story in your house growing up? What did money mean in your family? Write it below, because the moment you write it down, it stops running silently in your mind. If this video gave you something real, share it with one person. Someone stuck. Someone frustrated. Someone who keeps fixing the symptoms, but never the root. And between now and the next time you open this app, go look at your numbers. All of them. Because the version of you that knows the truth is the version that can finally change it.